Well, I got a doozy for you tonight. Camp Mystic takes one for the team. I've been telling you how disgusting and outrageous and angering their behavior has been. Now, tonight, when they knew they could not get that permit, when they knew that everybody had risen up against them, now they say, "Oh, we are so benevolent and we care so much about the victims that we failed and their families. We're going to take one for the team. We don't have to do this, but look at how awesome hey guys, look at how awesome we are. We're going to take one for the team. We're going to withdraw our application for a permit to have Camp Mystic open up here next month with the 900 girls that were signed up." And who the hell are those parents signing up their kids to go to Camp Mystic? It is, even today, it is angering and pathetic. I will explain why. I will have the direct quotes and so much more as Camp Mystic tries to act like they're the awesome ones, taking one for the team. James Talarico, can he actually win in the state of Texas? A new poll claims to seems to show that he could win, which is total B to the S on that. Also, the latest in the Athena Strand murder trial, the death penalty phase. I told you yesterday an Amber Alert from Irving Police was totally freaking bogus, and I'm proven right again. And I'll tell you why that is horrible and deadly. Road rage in Frisco leads to a homicide charge in Collin County. I'll talk about that because the case was adjudicated. Oh my gosh, the biggest thing, though, of the day is my friend Jim Dutton, who owns Due West Foundation and Plumbing. And Jim and I were just chatting, always do a pre-show connection and chat with, my guest before the show to make sure everything sounds good and looks good. And I says, "Jim, are you wearing your fancy Due West shirt? Because I'm wearing mine." And he said, he pulled it up. He goes, "Yeah, right here." His is white, though, and mine is tan. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm his understudy? Probably. After all, he's the home improvement expert, and he owns Due West Foundation and Plumbing, which does every single thing in this house and has for over 12 years in this house for plumbing, foundation, all sorts of stuff. Jim's going to tell you in just a little bit how not to get scammed after the storm damage that went through and the tornadoes that hit in DFW, coming up in just a little bit on Croc Talk with Chris Croc. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. If you want a tax planner, if you have some issues with the IRS, or if you're being audited, you call Randy Martin at IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, helping good people with tax problems. Let's get right into this because I've been telling you time and time again, day after day, how disgusting, angering, and enraging it is for Camp Mystic and their response to everything that happened. I had a viewer, a follower yesterday on this podcast, and she was innocuously asking, innocently asking. She wasn't trying to be nasty or negative. She says, what could they have done differently? And obviously, I'm not going to do what I can do in a show, talking about it for 10 minutes and go through every offense. Otherwise, the show would be me responding back and forth on Facebook, on typing it out. But for starters, I said they had a loudspeaker system. They could have told everybody to evacuate. They didn't. They could have given the camp counselors in every cabin walkie-talkies or cell phones. They didn't. They watched the weather throughout the night. Evidence shows that Dick Eastland, who's now deceased, the Eastland family has owned Camp Mystic for generations, where 27 people died in the flood of the Guadalupe River. Telling kids and camp instructors to stay in the cabin if there's flooding, which is what killed them. The nurse in Eastland family, one of the owners, she admitted that she saved her daughters but didn't save the campers, and that she could have had her underlings, her nurses, or other people that are under her, she could have had them go to the cabins and rescue them or get them out of the cabins and have them come up to higher ground, and she didn't. She admitted that in the first 24 hours under Texas law. If you're a camp and there's a death, you must report it. That she didn't report any deaths after 24 hours. In fact, she hadn't reported any of the 27 deaths. And in fact, 8 months later, she still hasn't reported any of the deaths. They are grossly and criminally negligent, in my judgment, 110%. Now, we're going to go into this in a minute, but today, and every step of the way, I've told you, Camp Mystic's attorneys, when you hire your attorney, for example, the admitted killer of Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony at the Frisco track meet, they hired bottom dweller, race hustler, Dominique Alexander, the fake civil rights guy who has a long rap sheet, dozens of crimes, felony theft, check kiting, I believe car theft, beating a black baby boy, and it's important as a fake civil rights person that his charges and accusations of beating have been against a black baby boy. He was convicted of it. He pleaded guilty of that. He also, his baby mama, who he refuses to put a wedding ring on her finger, but fathers sires children with her. She had a press conference saying he beat the hell out of her. So people like the Carmelo Anthony family use bottom-dwelling race hustlers as their spokesperson and as their attorneys, just as the same for Camp Mystic. They use attorneys that say how awesome Camp Mystic is, how much they've done, how incredible they are. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh, I think I broke my arm patting myself on the back. I'm Camp Mystic, through their attorneys. And so now comes Camp Mystic today, after people like me have been nailing them and pointing out everything that they've done, grossly, criminally negligent. Now they come today when they know their ticket has been punched, when people like the lieutenant governor, when people like high-profile state senators and state senators and House members, representatives, have railed against them in these public state hearings, how families have railed against them, how I have railed against them, and now they come out when they know their ticket's punched. But the next month they were supposed to open that camp, they had 900 girls whose parents signed them up. It's unbelievable, the stupidity and vapidity of the people that signed their kids up to be with this camp. But now they come out today when they know their ticket's punched and they say, oh, you guys, we're so awesome, we're going to withdraw our request for a permit to have camp this year. Oh my gosh, and the families were so excited, but we're going to take one for the team. It is a lie from the pits of hell. They've learned nothing. They think they're awesome, and they were forced to pull their ticket before we took their ticket for them, for their permit for them. They are pathetic. They are criminally negligent, I believe, and they are arrogant, and they haven't learned a damn thing. Excuse my language. Now, let's go to the coverage. This is from WFAA TV Channel 8. Camp Mystic withdraws 2026 summer license application following deadly tragedy. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're going to take one for the team. I'm Camp Mystic. I am so awesome. It's kind of like my Oprah impersonation, Popra, as my gay brother-in-law calls her, Popra. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh, look at this. It's my magazine. Oh my gosh, I'm on the cover. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. Here we go from WFAA. Texas legislative hearings, whether the camp should be allowed to operate again. They were withdrawing their application, the camp said, for the 2026 license. Camp Mystic said no administrative process or summer season should move forward while the families are still grieving and investigations are underway. Guys, we have determined that these families are grieving and we should shut down. They weren't doing that. They were ready to open next month, and they had 900 girls signed up. Camp director Mary Liz Eastland, that's the one who's the nurse and who said, yes, it's true, I rescued my daughters, but I didn't rescue anybody else's daughters. Camp director, and I didn't report any deaths to this day when 27 are dead, and it's been 8 months, and I'm supposed to do that report legally within 1 day. Camp Mystic director Mary Liz Eastland told lawmakers the family was willing to step back and take a pause. Oh my gosh, you are so amazing. You're willing They were forced. They were on the precipice of having it yanked from them. So they stepped down before it was yanked from them. Quote, Mary Liz Eastland says, no administrative process or summer season should move forward while families continue to grieve, while investigations continue, and while so many Texans carry the pain of last July's tragedy. No. You had 900 girls registered. You are lying. What you are doing is saving face and lying. She says, but rather risk defending our rights under Texas law in a manner that may unintentionally affect further harm. We chose rather to withdraw our application. You never should have applied. You have no humility, Eastland family. You have no humility. You have learned nothing. Channel 8 says, just days before the announcement, camp leaders indicated they still hope to open. Just a few days ago, they were publicly in the state hearing saying, we still hope to open. They knew they were a dead man walking, and so they pulled before they were yanked. And now they're acting like they're awesome. I'm telling you, they're worse today than they were yesterday. They're worse yesterday than they were a week ago. The more I learn about the Eastlands and the more I learn about this operation, the Eastlands themselves, they should never operate or run a camp again. And I said this yesterday, and some politicians yesterday in the hearings, in the Texas state hearings, said this, that they should sell that camp and they should never run it again. But they have no humility. Edward Eastland, again, it's the Eastland family that runs it and owns it. Edward Eastland said, I'm so sorry. We also recognize that over 800 girls want to return to Camp Mystic Cypress Lake this summer. We recognize all these little girls that you're not letting go to this camp. You're ruining the 800 girl summer. You ruin this. Again, that's the Eastland attitude and the Eastland family. Camp Mystic said today, this decision is intended to remove any doubt that Camp Mystic has heard the concerns expressed by the grieving families, members of the Texas House and Senate investigating committees, and citizens across our state. Respect for these voices requires that we step back now. BS. What I wrote in reading today in my notes is, read the room. Read the room. They never did. They never read the room because it's all about the Eastlands. No humility. Now comes the family of the little 8-year-old girl, and I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Sil or Seal, C-I-L-E. I've never seen that name before. But the family of Seal Stewart, 8-year-old, who's never been found to this day. Now, I've told you this every day I've talked about this. The family has been suing and still is because they're trying to stop everything and investigate everything, and they don't want that camp operating until they find their daughter's body. Now, I told you this. I'm glad they're suing because everything's being flushed out into the open through depositions, through hearings, the testimony. However, I don't agree with the family that the camp should not exist or operate until they find their daughter, because it's been 8 months. Some of the bodies and some of the survivors were found 6 miles, a mile away. I mean, so it's just not. You don't shut down property because somebody is missing. And I mean, we want to find the remains, but dude, it's been 8 months. But I'm glad they sued because all of this is being flushed out along with this state hearing. The family of that little girl has been vicious against the Eastlands, and I agree with them in their viciousness. Quote, they wrote today, for nearly 10 months, and this tells you everything I've been telling you, for nearly 10 months, I'm going to pause for a second. God has given me a gift. It's not just the passion and the fervor that I've had for years and years and years with my talk show career. But God has also given me a gift to sear my searing eyes or whatever, piercing right through to the BS, and to figure stuff out early on to see when somebody is wrong and BSing. And this family, the Eastland family, has been wrong and BSing since the very day And the family of this little girl is spot on. Here's what they said today after Camp Mystic said, we'll take one for the team and shut down. For nearly 10 months, the Eastland family had refused to take any accountability for the decisions that stole 27 daughters from their families. And I agree with them. But let there be no confusion, this family says, about what happened today. Camp Mystic did not withdraw its application out of grace. It withdrew because of the state of Texas was prepared to deny the application, the permit. It withdrew after the Department of DSHS, which is who regulates the camp. It withdrew after DSHS cited nearly 24 deficiencies in its licensing application. It withdrew after Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's continued public demands on DSHS to deny the renewal of that license. It withdrew after 4 days of court testimony and 2 days of legislative testimony. Now, by the way, I'm going to pause real fast. Remember this. In the great state of Texas, my home for 16 years now, plus I had a 2-year stint in the late 90s, 18 years of my life spent in the best state of this union. And the lieutenant governor is the most powerful politician in the state of Texas. More powerful than Governor Abbott. It's very true, actually. But let me continue on, and he's right to do this. What the Eastlands offered today, this family of the young girl who still hasn't been found, what the Eastlands offered today was not accountability. It was not out of respect for our grieving families, nor because they wanted to do the next right thing. It was a calculated exit from a license they were about to lose. The Eastland family withdrew their license to operate before the state of Texas yanked it from them. The family says, amen. Amen. I'm so proud of this family. Can I tell you something else? Almost every day of the show now for like a week, little emotional things and stories I've never told are coming out because I have freedom to do whatever I want to do on this podcast. And I was at a dear friend of mine has a ministry, a hunting ministry. And basically they take kids hunting and fishing for weekends in North Texas, in East Texas, in West Texas, and South Texas. Based right here at DFW. I'm very, very close with the president and founder. And I've been on one of the trips. He had a massive banquet that I was at and I hosted a table at the Hope Center. My friend June Hunt, the Hope Center that she put together and founded and runs. And she was actually at the banquet. She's a dear friend. We hug and kiss when we see each other. She's like my aunt, my great aunt that passed away. I love June so much. But we were at the Hope Center and we were there, and guess who was called up on stage? A man who, and my wife and I were like, we couldn't figure this out. We saw pictures of a little girl who loved to hunt. Pictures of a beautiful little 8-year-old girl, I think she was, who was holding up a rabbit, when the rabbit gets shot and it's like, dead. And the deer antlers, with hunting. She loved to hunt. And we couldn't figure out if the guy telling her story and showing the pictures was her dad or a friend. She died in Camp Mystic in the flooding. She's from DFW, and it was her dad. And I spoke to him afterwards. He lost his beautiful daughter 8 months ago. And I'm going to have him on the podcast at some point. And I just told him how disgusted I was with Camp Mystic. And you can imagine what he's gone through, but I can tell you this. He did not flinch when I told him how disgusted I was with him, because I think the same thing's going on with every one of those families from what they've seen from Camp Mystic. Not just then, but now, all the way through. Anyways, the family closes out of the 8-year-old who died. We will continue to believe that there were heroes at Camp Mystic. Watch this. We continue to believe, the family released a statement today of their 8-year-old daughter who died. We will continue to believe that there were heroes at Camp Mystic on July 4th, but their names were not Eastland. Exactly right. Exactly right. Now I'll add something. When you go through hell like this as a parent, when you or I go through something, a job loss, a death in the family, a divorce, betrayal from a friend, we can be bitter or we can be better. This family, my prayer is that they are not bitter, that they are better, but that they are doing this because I believe they are righteous. Also, this is from Fox 4's coverage of this today, and I put two words right here. Sick messaging. Sick messaging. Camp Mystic is guilty of sick messaging. Here it is. Quote, "We commend DSHS," the Camp Mystic said, "but rather than risk defending our rights," so they're like, we are so awesome, we're withdrawing. It's sick messaging because they are arrogant, they can do no wrong, and they are not humble. They have no humility. Over 20 deficiencies were recently cited in their license application to open next month. Also, the Camp Mystic director and chief medical officer, whose name I already mentioned earlier, Mary Liz Eastland, one of the Eastland family members that owns it, had previously admitted she did not report the deaths in any evidentiary hearing earlier in the month. She confirmed Tuesday, 2 days ago, nothing's changed. She's never going to report those deaths. Never. Now, why did Camp Mystic stop their application process? Here's a little more evidence why they pulled out today and pretended like they were taking one for the team and they were the heroes in this, which is disgusting. I'll quote from yesterday's hearing from the state senators and representatives. Senator Charles Perry, Republican from Lubbock, said Camp Mystic should only continue operating if somebody else is running it. Amen. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said yesterday he called on the Eastland family to withdraw their license application. Amen. This is all from yesterday. Senator Perry said the legislature will support whatever it takes to shut them down as soon as possible. Representative Drew Darby from San Angelo said the laws passed after the flood should give the agency the ability to suspend the camp's license. That was yesterday. Yesterday also, Britt Eastland, one of the Eastlands, said it will be a family decision if we shut down, this summer. Ha 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 ha. Edward Eastland said yesterday they didn't think to get on the camp's loudspeaker system to urge girls to evacuate because he was instead focused on getting to the next cabin. Let's focus on 5 or 10 people instead of all the people that could die. All 4 Eastlands conceded to the lawmakers they were not prepared for the flood and did not evacuate the girls early enough. Mary Liz Eastland said counselors were instructed in training to stay in the cabins during floods because they believed those cabins were safe, which is why they died. And this was what Britt Eastland, one of the Eastlands, said yesterday. This was audible gasp and anger and yelling at the state hearing yesterday. And this is one of the reasons why they pulled today, because they were not going to get that permit. Quote, Britt Eastland said yesterday at the hearing, "We pray that we can reconcile with these wonderful families." I told you this yesterday in my podcast. Oh, come on, let's hug it out. Oh, let's hug it out. Sure, we may be criminally negligent and may have killed your kids from criminal negligence, but let's come hug it out. He said he believed the families in the future would be glad they had his camp this summer. They would be glad if they had camp this summer. Somebody yelled from the crowd, "What? We are ready," Senator Eastland said. "Yes, we are ready. Come on, let's hug it out. Let's all move on." The mother of the 8-year-old who died, who's still missing, said she had to walk out of the courtroom so she didn't scream. When her turn came to speak, she scolded Eastland yesterday for presuming she would one day be glad about the camp's choice to keep operating. She said yesterday, "Walk away, tend to your flock. Own your trauma, your own family that is clearly broken. Cut the bleeding and stop the agony of our families." Amen. Well, that has been done, and that is great. Absolutely great. Will James Talarico win? Coming up in just a moment. A little bit from, let's say what, will James Talarico win? And then we'll talk to Jim Dutton, the host of Texas Home Improvement in Dallas, Fort Worth, in Houston, and in Austin, as well as the owner of Due West Foundation and Plumbing, one of my sponsors, and the only company I've used for plumbing and foundation for over 11 years in this house. They are the best. That's why I call Due West. Speaking of which, real fast, before we get to Talarico, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. I have a new picture for you. Here is me and the team. They've been my CPAs, Randy Martin and IRSprob.com. That's the team right there. It's Ray and George and Randy and me about almost 10 years ago. Look at that. Look at how young we were there. Oh, my gosh, spring chickens. So, and then here's Randy speaking to a CPA class at UT Austin, his alma mater, which is the best school in the state for accountancy. There he is speaking. That's my guy, my friend. He was on last night. Randy Martin from IRSprob.com. Helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Call 214-214-3000. That's 214-214-3000. Or call or go to IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com. And also, this show is brought to you by Due West Foundation and Plumbing. If you want the best, call Due West like me. Due West does concrete leveling. They do root shields, they do plumbing, they do foundation, and Jim has taught me over the years, Jim's taught me a heck of a lot over the years, and Jim has taught me that you want to use a plumber that also does foundation, or a foundation company that also does plumbing, because they will blame each other. Okay, the foundation guy will blame the plumber, and the plumber will blame the foundation guy. You want the same company doing both, and that is Due West. They replaced 17 feet of pipe under my house, which includes tons of dirt being brought out so they could replace the pipe under my slab foundation. And then, of course, they got to put piers up and know what they're doing. My wife worked for Due West for 3 years. We're friends with Jim's wife, Mary. We're friends with his son, Johan, and Adam. And they've been working for the company for years. They did my root shields around the house, keeping the roots from going under the house. They graded my backyard as well. They do retention walls, plumbing, foundation, concrete leveling, you name it. If you want the best, call Due West, 972-406-0912, 972-406-0912, and tell them Chris Crock sent you, whether it's Due West Foundation and Plumbing or IRSprob.com. They are both the bomb. All right, before we go to Jim in just a minute, James Talarico. Will James Talarico turn Texas blue? What did I tell you about this yesterday? This new poll that shows Talarico leading both Paxton and Cornyn, etc. And I told you it's a joke. And I told you the reason it's a joke is because, and they say, James Talarico got $30 or $27 million in the first quarter. Oh, wow. Well, Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator, fake Mexican, got $38 million in a quarter. Like 11 million more, and he still lost. And he lost by 3 points, and the only reason he lost by such a close margin is because Ted Cruz phoned it in until the last minute. I was going after him. My listeners were going after him, saying there's no signs anywhere for Cruz. We go to volunteer at Dallas, in the city of Dallas, with the Republicans. Nobody's there. It was a disgrace. That's why. Well, guess what? The leftist Bud Kennedy of the Star Telegram, the disgraced Bud Kennedy, who in studio years ago was in studio with me on the radio and said, "What, Chris?" It was separately from what we were talking about, but he goes, "What, Chris?" And it was on the air. He goes, "What? Your son? You homeschool your son? Oh, the poor kids." I said, "What?" He goes, "Well, the poor kids, they don't have the privilege of being with your son. Oh, they're missing out on him." That was his, liberal leftist, backhanded, insulting way of saying, you cretin, you're homeschooling your kid. Well, Bud, here we are years later. My son Isaac graduated from UTD with a 4.0 grade point average, summa cum laude. He speaks fluent Japanese out of 5 levels of fluency. He's the second highest. He's 2, and 1 is the highest. That's as high as a fluency as you can get. It's recognized by the Japanese government. There's only 1 test, and he takes it every year. And this year, he's going to go from 2 to 1 and be the most fluent of the second hardest language in the world. The first is Chinese or Cantonese, whatever it is. The second is Japanese, which is based on partially Chinese. So, Bud, I think my son can run circles around you in academia. Have a good one. Now, James Talarico, but Bud actually is right. A broken clock is right twice a day. Bud is actually right on something. Look at this. He says, will James Talarico turn Texas blue? And I already told you yesterday I laughed about it. Of course not. Will he turn Texas blue? Not so fast. The news is good for Texas Democrats, he writes, with this new poll that everybody's been quoting, unless you actually read it. Even though Texas voters are completely unhappy with their leaders, the state, and their family situation, they are also more conservative now than in 2018, the poll shows. Back in 2018, those voters polled mostly said they were Republicans 46 to 43%. But now that 3-point margin, which is what Cruz and Paxton won by, now that same poll that said folks liked Republicans by 3 points in Texas, it's now 50-40 Republicans. We went from 3 points advantage to 10-point generic advantage. The baked-in winning margin for Republicans is now 10%, not 3%, Bud Kennedy says. In the new poll, 43% of Texas voters have a favorable view of the Republican Party. Back in 2018, it was 35%. We have gained 8 points of favorable view in the state of Texas by the voters. Meanwhile, 50% of the voters in Texas now have an unfavorable view of the Democrats. Texas voters are more Christian now than in 2018, and I say to that, amen. 3/4 of Texans, 75%, Kennedy says today in the Star Telegram, now say their faith is important in their lives. That's up from 71%, so 4% increase in that. In a significant shift, 35% of Texas voters now say the Bible is the literal word of God, up 7 points from the previous poll. And that is accurate. The Bible is the literal word of God, is the inerrant, infallible word of God, is what the Bible is. Talarico's background is, this is what's laughable, Talarico's background as a Presbyterian seminary student may at least help him speak to devout voters and rally mainline Christians. LOL. Yeah, if you want to talk to somebody who believes, and who's a mainline Christian who believes that the Bible is the Word of God, and you're going to tell me there's 6 genders? Or that God's non-binary? Or that Mary had a choice to receive Jesus, and therefore that proves that God is pro-choice for killing babies? Nobody believes that. And I said it yesterday. He will lose much, much worse than Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator fake Mexican. He will lose by worse of a margin once people get to know him. They don't know him yet. That will be defined after Paxton beats Cruz. Paxton beats Cornyn, hopefully. And now, without any further ado, my friend, Jim Dutton, the host of Texas Home Improvement and the owner of Due West Foundation and Plumbing. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm giving you a grand introduction now. I have a question, a very important question. You have the white shirt, and it's got a Due West logo on it, right?
It does.
I have. Can we prove? Yeah. I want to see. That's the evidence. Now let the evidence show. Let the record show that he's got the Due. I got the Due West. You have the white shirt. I have the brown shirt. Does that mean that I'm the boss? Am I El Jefe or are you El Jefe? Who's gonna dig the trench? Who's going to be going and digging under the house? You or me?
Well, you can't get the dirt all over the white shirt. I hate to tell you.
So that's how it works. El Jefe, which is you, gets the white shirt, and you go, I'd love to help you, but I got a white shirt. I love it.
I will tell you, I have actually been in tunnels in a 3-piece suit under people's house.
Are you kidding me?
Wow. We had a project. The guys had an issue that they needed some help on. I was headed somewhere, and I said, guys, I really don't want to do this, and I went in the tunnel in the suit.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible. Do you get
the tan shirts are what my superintendents wear.
Oh,
they're really not the guys in the holes digging.
Okay, so actually I'm a lieutenant.
Yep.
I'm a lieutenant. I'm an honorary lieutenant who you don't want to be in charge of anything over there because I don't know. I know a lot. You've taught me a lot, but I don't know enough to be a lieutenant. But I'll act like I'm a good BSer, right?
Chris, you know enough that you don't want the shovels in your hand.
Yeah, I don't want my hands to fall off with the what do you call it, the calluses. So first of all, Jim, welcome back to the show. Love having you on always, and I love telling people I beam with pride that my wife worked with you for 3 years. We're friends with Mary, your wife, and Johan and Adam, and love seeing the picture of you with your grandchildren. It's very special. And your family is multi-generational owners. You guys started in the '70s with your dad, right? Founding.
1978.
That's absolutely awesome. Um, and so that you guys have done everything in this house. I didn't even buy this house until you approved it with the static plumbing test and foundation inspection. Hey, I'll ask you a quick question on the fly. I was watching something on real estate and houses, and a lady, a real estate expert who's featured on like Fox Business and stuff from Plano or this area. She was saying that people think with the houses, their grandma houses that haven't been updated, that they can still sell a $500 or $700,000 house, for whatever. $500,000 house for 700, and she's saying that is absolutely not the case unless your house is updated and good to go. Does that sound about right to you as far as the higher prices?
It is. I mean, it's not that you still can't sell houses, but it has switched from being a seller's market to a buyer's market.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to get top dollar, you better have the top dog house in there as well.
So Jim, what do you look for people like when if you or your son, let's say your son didn't work for Due West, you know what I mean? What do you tell your loved ones or your friends to look for in a house, like before you buy it? Like, don't check this and check this, like as far as what to look for.
Well, my daughter bought a house a little over
Mm-hmm.
a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and she always swore she did not want a old house, a fixer-upper house, or
Yeah.
anything like that. And she ended up buying a house that a grandmother had lived in.
Oh boy.
Hadn't been updated since probably 1980.
Oh boy.
What I'm looking for in a house, I want
Yeah.
good framework. I want to check the HVAC system because, believe it or not, they are unbelievably expensive now.
I can't imagine.
I want to buy something that's got a good roof on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the paint, especially on the inside. I really don't care about the flooring. I don't care. The one that always cracks me up. I don't care about the water heater. People are always, oh, it's got a new water heater. Go buy a water heater. They're $800.
I was gonna say, isn't it like $1,000 to throw one in your house?
Yes, and people always worry about it. And ceiling fans and stuff like that.
That
Means
nothing.
absolutely nothing.
Jim, even I can install a ceiling fan. I've done 3 of them in the house over the years.
So you're looking for the electrical system, the plumbing system, the water system. Those are the things that are expensive to work on.
Yeah. I mean,
all the stuff I work on.
Well, yes. HVAC systems are so. I mean, it's hard to like get a quote just off the top of our head, but I mean, what would you just say? Just make this up. An average HVAC system from 5 years ago or whatever it was versus now. Like what? Just make up a like. It probably the average one was probably about this. Now it's about this. Just take a
No,
stab.
I don't have to make it up. I can tell you 5 years ago, you could put in a 16, 17 SEER air conditioning system, which was a really good system, and you would spend 12 grand.
Yeah.
Give or take a little bit.
Yeah.
That same system today is going to cost you 20, 22,000.
Well, I mean, what in God's name is going on with that?
Well, one of the big things was the government stepped in and said, "Oh, we got to go all new coolants." So all the manufacturers had to retool for this new coolant, and that was a killer. Now we get into metals, and it changed the strength of the pipes, the tubing, and all this kind of stuff. So it adds cost. Labor cost has been going up tremendously.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It adds to the cost. And the thing that a lot of people just don't even think about is, everybody pushes their kids, go to college, go to college. The trades are paying more than college students earn now, and college degreed people earn. And that goes on to the cost of the system.
So, two things I was going to tell you about. There was there was some scammers. Like I got a call from some company that said we're going to be in your neighborhood. Want to let you know, and we're going to be looking at your meter. And I said, okay, is Encore sending you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, you're not trying to get in my house or anything. No, 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 no. But it was like I think they're trying to do the Obama or not Obama, the Biden crap, where it's like, hey, if you spend thousands of dollars, you could save money, with the tax incentives that you and I are paying for out of our tax pockets. And so a few days later, some other guy from the company calls, and he says the same kind of a line. And so I said, wait a minute. Are you going to come into my house and do energy efficiency? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I said you're a liar. I said you guys called me 3 days earlier and you said you were going to look at the meter. You're not with the company. You're not with the power company. You're not looking at my meter. You want to sell me. And I said you said you know what this is? Because it was a young guy, kid, and I'm like, this is what Biden did. He goes, Biden. I said, yeah. I said, this is a scam that where you spend thousands of dollars on Windows or on an HVAC system that you don't need, but you can save thousands of dollars. But I'm not buying this crap if I don't need it. Talk to me on that whole thing,
Well,
because that's what
the
it
big
is.
scam that they're running with that stuff right now is solar. They come
Tell me
out,
about that.
they go through all that, and then they want to install solar panels. And that is just the biggest scam going right now. And it's not that I'm against solar. I think solar is a fine thing. It doesn't pay for itself though. And all these guys are telling you, oh yeah, it's going to pay for itself and it'll last up there for 30 years. Well, here's the deal. Solar will only pay for itself if you got major rebates from the power company and the government incentives. They're too expensive to make.
Right,
They don't generate the power on your roof that they
right,
tell you it's going to generate.
right.
And what they do is they have you sign documents and basically put a second mortgage on your house.
Oh my
So you
gosh.
go to sell the house, you can't sell it.
Holy crap.
There are people right now that have $60,000 mortgages on their house for solar panels.
What a disgrace. I had a
It, it
friend. I had a
and
friend.
again,
Yeah,
I love solar. I heck I pay the money. I put it on like my RV and stuff like that. But
yeah.
it's really expensive for what we do on our house because realistically, if you're not in a co-op and you shop your power,
Hmm.
you're getting some pretty good pricing right now.
Jim, that's literally I just renewed, and I used the watchdog from Dallas Morning News. He's good for something. He's a liberal, but he's good for some things, and I just he's taught me how to do it. And you go to Power to Choose, you compare, you do this, you read through the contract. And I've been getting ripped off year after year, even though I'm getting the best deal I can find, and I know how to find it to get it right. So this year I was shocked. I thought we were gonna get screwed because of Iran right now, but I went down from 14 something, which is insane, but that's the best I could do before. Now it's 12 point something, and I'm not at 10 point something, which I used to do several years ago, which we're not gonna get for a while probably. But anyways, I found a 12.4, I think.
Yeah.
Which
And a funny thing is, for a commercial client,
yeah,
they can get
less.
better rates.
Wow. Well, maybe I should have done commercials since my business is out of the studio right here.
Your business is in the house. You need to kind of register the house as a place of business. And, I'm
Oh,
not telling you what to do,
no,
but
no, no. I mean, it literally is. Yeah, 100% of my income comes from this now. That's interesting. Dang. Oops. Crap. I'll do that next year. Um, let's talk about the storm damage stuff. I got to do this. I love doing commercials around the house for Due West Foundation and Plumbing Your Business because I go around and show all the places you've done stuff on my house and tips you've given me. My favorite one's the wipes because tell people about wipes and the flushable wipes, quote unquote. Because my
yeah,
version is there's no version of those that are flushable.
there is no, oh, they'll flush, but they're going to hang up somewhere.
Yep.
They're not, they are, the issue with them is they don't degrade like toilet paper does.
Right.
And so when it's going through the line, it's going to get hung up. It's going to cause problems. All this stuff that, oh, it's flushable. Yes, a Matchbox car flushes down your toilet. It gets hung up somewhere.
That's so funny. Yeah, because so I write. It's so stupid and it's ridiculous. I feel like I'm my mom, right, putting notes everywhere. But I put not for my family. I mean, she's 19, and he's 22. But I do it for our friends who have little kids, or just friends who come over if they need to use the bathroom, our guest bathroom. And I write all over it, on every side, don't flush, do not flush, do not flush, because someone's going to flush, and then a month from now or 2 weeks from now, I'm going to have a fat bill, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So
it may not be that fast, but it will be. But I got to tell you a funny story.
yes.
Yesterday, I was working with a couple of my guys, and they were walking across the yard, and they were arguing about something. And one of them finally says, and he's a Hispanic guy that's worked for me for 25 years.
That's great.
And he says, Jim, he's trying to tell me that you flush toilet paper down the toilet. Is that true? And I said,
What?
Yeah, here in America we do. He says, oh, no, that's just not right.
What?
In Mexico, they don't do that.
So they throw toilet paper in the wastebasket too.
It goes in the wastebasket. And
wow.
But it goes to tell you, not everything is meant to go down the toilet. Our systems are different in the United States. They're made to flush toilet paper, but not that other stuff.
So here's another thing I wanted to ask you. I was one of your plumbers over the years. Gave me another tip. Two tips. One is it's what is it called? The outs. When you the where the line is just outside of my house, where there's an in and an out, right?
The clean out.
Thank you. The clean out. Is that true? One's going out, one's going in. Is that kind of what each one of those is?
Well, when there's two side by side, yes, they come down, and one goes in towards the house. The other one heads out to the yard, and they crisscross.
So I was told to, you know how there's a little thing you screw and it opens it up to tighten it on the top of the out. So I was told to barely have that tight so that it could just pop right off. So that if it have a backup, it pops out versus keeping the sewage in there. Is that accurate?
Will that happen? Yes.
It'll
now.
So
here's the reason you want to do that. If the city system backs up, would you rather have it pop that top off and put the raw sewage out in your yard?
Holy crap.
Or back it up into the shower and bathtub in the house?
Holy, no pun. I didn't mean to say holy crap. We're talking about holy crap because that's even funnier. But so literally, if the city backs up, because you see all the time in the news that happens with somebody in DFW and they're on the hook for it. The city's like, nope, we're not responsible. So what you're telling me is that advice from one of your plumbers from several years ago is accurate because on both sides. So if it backs up from them, it'll pop up and be in my front yard, which is nothing compared to being in my house.
Exactly.
Same thing on my side too. Is it good to have both of them loose at the top there where the screw is?
Well, it's because it just gives it that much more release of pressure.
Okay. I love this. I get to ask all sorts of questions. And let's talk about the horrible damage that people got with the storm. I mean, undeniably, that's going to be your biggest thing, I bet you, on your coverage of Texas Home Improvement on your radio show and your TV show this week, I'm guessing. Why don't you tell me what you want to share with folks about what to do after the bad storm if you may have had damage on your house, what to look for, what to do?
Okay. First thing you got to remember is you need to secure the property. It's not the insurance responsibility to come out there and cover everything with tarps and do all that stuff. Will they pay for that? Absolutely. But it's your responsibility to get that done as soon as possible. Because if another rain, which we're having, comes in, it causes more damage. They can deny that additional damage because you didn't take appropriate steps.
Holy wow.
So
I wouldn't have thought about that.
You need to make sure to get it secured. Secondary thing, if somebody's coming knocking on your door to check your roof or any of that kind of stuff, run them off.
Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what I thought. But I'm going to share with you in a minute, whenever you want me to. I got an article from the Star Telegram saying the freaking opposite from some organization out of Fort Worth, and I'm like, you bleepity bleeps are bleepity bleep, whatever. Yeah.
You're idiot.
Yes.
You need to do business with a reputable company, one who's got an office and all that stuff, not some guy who's coming out knocking on the door trying to drum up work. Typically,
Jim,
what that ends up being is somebody who's from out of state, and it's just a storm chaser. Here today, gone tomorrow.
And Jim, you don't ever want to hire a roofer who's got magnets slapped on the side of their truck, right?
Never.
Absolutely.
Because, again, they're just storm chasers. The other thing you got to be real careful on is if your roof was damaged, there's two things to keep in mind. One, you are responsible for the deductible. Do not have some roofer come in and say, I'll tell you what, if you'll sign the contract now, I'll waive the deductible. They can't do that. That's illegal. Jail time.
Right, that's fraud, right?
It is fraud. Not just on the contractor's part, but fraud on the homeowner's part as well.
Wow.
And you can get convicted for a felony for doing that. The other thing is, if you got hail damage, if you're not leaking, don't get in too big a rush to replace that roof.
How come?
You have a year to do it.
Okay.
We are at the beginning of hail season.
Oh, that's a good point.
You get your roof replaced today, and a week from now we have another hailstorm. Guess what? You get to pay the deductible again. Wait until hail season is over.
Very smart. When is hail season? I mean, this might be a dumb question, but when's hail season over? Like in June? I don't know.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Usually we're good after it gets good and hot.
Jim, I saw, and I know you saw too, some of the coverage, particularly in, I can't remember the exact areas, but the Godly, and there was another area that was hit badly. I can't remember the other.
Weatherford.
Thank you, Weatherford. I was going to say Weatherford for a second. I don't know. And you're looking at, and you saw the pictures of baseball-sized hail. Jim, what? Yeah. I mean, it's unconscionable. First of all, honestly, if you get hit with that coming out of the sky in your head, you're going to probably die, right? I mean.
Yes.
Number two,
it's going to knock you out.
Yeah. What does that do to a house, Jim? I mean, to me, it's unconscionable. I mean, we see the pictures, but I have never seen or been where that's happening. Thank God. What does that do to a house?
Hail that size can actually, the plywood that's up there, it can actually break holes through the plywood.
My God.
I mean, it can do that much damage. I have a hail-resistant roof on my house because I got tired of paying the deductible. It will not handle softball-size hail.
It won't?
Not going to happen.
And it's hail-resistant? What?
And it's hail-resistant.
What is a hail-resistant roof? I've never heard of that.
It's a shingle that's designed to take the hit of like a 2-inch hail ball.
Oh my God.
And not show damage.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Now let me just you have more on the storm stuff, because I have a few questions on that, but unless you have more, I also want to share this pathetic article in the Star Telegram today. Okay, here's the Star Telegram article. I just want to rip this to shreds with you. I literally went through the whole article and highlighted things. I'll try to make it brief, but okay. If somebody's knocking at your door or calling you on the phone offering free roof inspections, we both agree on that. Hell no. Hail no, right?
No.
Fort Worth-based North Texas Roofing Contractors Association says legitimate contractors use cold calling techniques like knocking on doors to drum up business, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Just like there's nothing inherently unscrupulous about offering free inspections. I mean, if somebody wants a free inspection, get the hell out, get away from me, and don't call my roofers. What I say, they say, in fact, many roofers do that as standard practice. So I wrote hell no. What do you say to that?
Well, yeah, they offer a free inspection. There's a difference between going knocking on doors and cold calling, and I get the text messages.
Me too.
Your neighbors are getting a new roof. We'd like to give you a free inspection. That's crap.
Right.
They're I'm not. No, don't let them. Call a company you've been hearing about.
Right.
Call the companies who are been in business in your community for
Right.
years.
Right.
Not these guys who are storm chasing and strictly using the internet and all that stuff and
Right.
knocking on doors to drum it up. The legitimate contractors, they don't have enough estimators to be able to go out and door knock and give you
Look at
a
that.
price.
Now that's a great piece of wisdom right there. They don't even have the resources because they're too busy with their guys, going out and doing stuff to knock on doors. They're busy doing, real work, quote unquote, right?
Exactly.
And then here we go. Before you blah blah blah. Before you let anyone in your roof, be sure to carefully read your contract presented and understand what you're agreeing to. Now, I mean, Jim, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know if I signed a contract. My roofer is one of the ones that you're talking about. That's reputable, years and years and years. It's been about 6 or 8 years. I don't know when I got my new roof on, but like I don't even remember if I signed anything. Is that even normal to have to sign something?
Yes, it is normal.
Okay, then I guess
Yeah,
I did.
and here's the reason. You want to make sure your roofing contractor has general liability insurance,
Okay.
because if they get that roof off and a major storm hits, you want to make sure they got some coverage if they did something wrong. If the roof was put on and something was done wrong, you want to make sure they have coverage to cover the expenses again if that roof leaks. Nothing tears your house up faster than water does. The other
Yeah.
insurance you want to make sure they have is workers' comp.
Right.
All it takes is one slip and somebody's off that roof injured.
Oh yeah.
That employee has the right to sue the homeowner if they don't have workers' comp.
See,
But if a
that's what.
contractor has workers' comp, they have to take that insurance.
That's why you don't hire illegals to do your trees, right? Because if they fall out of the tree, you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, people just save a couple $100 or $1,000 or $2,000, and you got to pay thousands and
It
thousands of
costs
bucks.
money to be a legitimate contractor.
Yes. And then also, what about this? Money down for materials. That's if they need money from you or me for materials. That means they can't afford to do the job. Is that right?
Yes and no. If you are ordering a special shingle, I get it, because they can't
Special
just
order.
go and sell that.
Right.
Yeah, it's a special order item that they can't. As an example, if somebody special ordered a metal roof or a slate roof that looks like shingles,
Mm-hmm.
that's a special order item. They can't just go put that on the next house.
No.
Regular shingles, they can just go use that on the next house. Most roofers don't require a down payment on that.
And so, unless you have something special,
And
if it's an average roof, yeah.
Most of them are getting paid by the insurance check.
Okay, yeah. So they
You're
shouldn't
paying
even.
just the deductible, and your insurance typically would be paying the rest.
There you go. So all those are red flags. And let's see what else they say. Going with a local company and established reputation. Here we go. It's not uncommon for out-of-town roofers to descend upon areas hit by storm chasers, which you talked about.
Yep.
Here, you have 3 days to cancel a contract in writing, assuming it hasn't begun. It's harder to get out of a contract once the roofer has a tarp up. Yeah?
It's a funny thing on that. Yes, you do have 3 days to cancel, especially if they came knocking on your door. That rule does. There are some nuances to that, though. If you call the contractor and invite them into your home, it's not the same rules as if they came door knocking.
So you have more quote unquote rights if they come door knocking?
You don't have more rights. And I don't know any contractor who's a legitimate contractor that, with my company, for instance, with the foundation repair, and the plumbing, both. You sign a contract, I may not get to your job for 2 weeks, sometimes more,
because you're busy.
Well, scheduling, pulling permits, and all the other stuff sometimes takes time. If you tell me I changed my mind, I don't want to do it, you're out. The worst thing a legitimate contractor wants is a customer who don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You talk about complaints, that's where you get complaints.
So wait, say it again. How does that work again? You're saying that. Say that again.
If you don't want me to come and work on your house, even after you've signed a contract,
Okay. Yes.
why
Yes.
do I want to force my services on you and have
Right.
nothing but
Misery.
pushback the whole time? Yeah, it's
I
not
see.
worth it.
Right on. Okay. Yeah. That's a good company. Good companies are not going to force stuff on you unless it's obviously some things maybe, but not that. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think I've got everything on there. I guess one more thing, two more things. Tons of rain we've been getting. As you know, we talked about. It's like we're in Seattle right now. I say that every year around this time, right? Except we don't have the high crime and the bums everywhere. But and a woke leftist mayor. We kind of do, but nonetheless. But anything about that? Getting all those tons of rains to be thinking about with the house.
There is. I mean, we've been in a dry spell for so long. A lot of people have let their drainage go. If we get these light rains and you're getting standing water by your house, it's time to address it. And a lot of times it's between two houses where they've got the ditch, the little swale that should
Yeah.
allow the water to come out to the road. And from mowing and doing different things, it builds up a little hump somewhere that blocks it. And so you
Yeah.
get standing water. Dig it out. Let that water flow. Um, that's going to be the biggest thing. Standing water is a killer.
When I talked to you about standing water several years ago, I was worried about my house. But then what you said is if it goes away in a certain amount of time, it's not a problem. Like
Yeah, standing water is if it's sitting there for uh, you know 24 hours.
yeah, that's
That is
crazy.
definitely standing water. If the water dissipates in say 2-3 hours,
Yeah,
that's not an issue.
right. I've never had that problem, so that's where I was like, okay, I was worried. But yeah,
Yeah,
after it soaks in there and it goes away after heavy rain, 2-3 hours, 4 hours, maybe it's gone or whatever. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. HVAC. I mean, I just had my annual maintenance. What give me an estimate of what, people can sign contracts to have or do a contract for a year, right? Where you have spring and fall maintenance from a company. What would you say is a fair price range for 2 units? Because I just had it done and I'm like, I don't know, that's a little pricier. What would you just say is an average estimate
It,
for?
it really depends on what all they're going to do for you.
Okay.
Because there's some contracts that are written where all they do is come out, they hose out the unit outside, they check the filter inside, and your system's working, everything's good, we're on the way out of here. There's other contracts, like I own an HVAC company in the Houston area.
Yes.
And when we go out and do our tune-ups, it's really more than a tune-up, it's a whole cleanup because
Yeah.
we're going to take the outside unit apart. We're
Mhm.
going to use cleaners on the coils, clean all that up, clean all the
Yeah.
dirt and stuff out, check all the capacitors, check the coolant levels, put that unit back together. We're going to go inside, take the blower fan and assembly out, clean it, get all the dirt out, look for any oil leaks, check the connections and all that stuff up there. Typically, it's going to take about 2 hours, 2 to 3
Mhm.
hours
Yeah.
per unit
Wow.
versus the 20 minutes that a lot of companies do. So um, I don't know what you're paying, but on my plan to do that,
Yeah.
it's over $200 a year.
Okay. Now, see, I need to go. I know you don't do DFW, but if you did, I would go with you. Because that's so. Yeah, I did. It was 220 for 2 units, and I didn't get what you got, what you do. So
Right.
that was for one
Well,
time.
if I'm doing, if for one time, yeah, that's
Yeah. See,
pricey.
yeah,
If
very
I'm
pricey.
doing 2 units, I'm going to be, I want to say it's 247 for the first unit and like 180 for the second unit. And
For the whole year.
that, yeah, and we do it, the cleaning twice that year.
Yeah.
We do it in the spring, and then we do it again in the fall.
Right. Well, then I need to switch to a company like yours. That and you got to open up an HVAC company here with Due West needs to have a HVAC one here. Okay. I
Go
want
to
you to
my
get on that.
website, thipro.com, and there's a company there for you.
There you go. You got a deal. Jim Dutton, Texas home improvement host and the owner of Due West Foundation and Plumbing. If you want the best, call Due West like I do. Over 11 years in this house, Jim's done everything. They do concrete leveling, they do retention walls, they do grading, right? They do root shields, they do plumbing, they do foundation. And by the way, you don't want a foundation company that doesn't do plumbing, and you don't want a plumbing company that doesn't do foundation, right? Why?
Because sewer leaks, a lot of sewer leaks cause foundation problems. And on the same thing, if you are doing the foundation work and there is a plumbing leak, you want to get it addressed at the same time.
Right.
And really, if you're getting foundation work done, we do a static test to check for leaks in the sewer system before leveling and again after leveling. Because you don't want to have a leak sitting there that causes you to have another problem 5 years from now.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Jim, appreciate you, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Always love having you on, man. You laugh at my jokes. Maybe next time I'll show up with a white shirt.
We have fun.
We have a lot of fun. Jim, thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
My pleasure. You take
Have a
care.
good night. You too. There he goes. Due West Foundation and Plumbing. If you want the best, call Due West. Jim Dutton. So also I want to get into this. Tanner Horner, who here he is in that this sick bastard who is, excuse my language, but he is with Little Athena Strand. And the trial today is day 15, and we found out what happened in that van. Everything that I was telling you that I believe she was sexually assaulted, unfortunately, was confirmed yesterday. The prosecution and one of the forensic psychiatrists confirmed that indeed, yes, he admitted to sexually assaulting her. That 250-pound man did that to this 67-pound 47-year-old girl, and so he needs to be put to death. He was singing along to "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree" before he killed her. Not only did he rape her, but he also stripped her naked and did that, and then he also tried many times to kill her. He tried to snap her neck. He stomped on her face. I'm sorry to have to tell you this. He stomped on her face. Her footprint was on his face from his shoes. Over and over again. He strangled her. She died the worst death, and worse than being murdered, she was raped. And he needs the death penalty. Not because it saves money, not because it stops recidivism, it prevents people from offending in future. It doesn't. It's not cheaper. It's not quicker. But it's the right justice punishment, the just punishment for what he did. Today, and jurors are now off. They're going back on Monday. So I will not be surprised if we get the verdict on, he's already pleaded guilty, but I will not be surprised if we get a verdict on the death penalty, say Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, by the end of the week. I'll be surprised if it's not by Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday next week. And I pray and I hope that you'll pray that he is put to death. Today, on day 15, the Fox 4 and kind of a tandem here. I got Fox 4 and Star Telegram's coverage a little bit today. I don't have a lot. Jurors expect to return Monday. The grandmother of the killer, Tanner Horner, was cross-examined. And prosecutors asked his grandmother whether she understands that he is responsible, because they're trying to play this crap, he had Asperger's. He's a 1 out of 3 on the Asperger's spectrum, which is the lowest one possible, meaning he's not profoundly, disabled with Asperger's. ADHD has. So what? I do. It's in my family. Prosecutors asked his grandmother whether she understands he's responsible for what happened, not his autism diagnosis. I think his problems had something to do with it, she replied. Of course, you and I know that's BS. The prosecutor says, he knows right from wrong, though, doesn't he? Yes, he does, she admitted. He knows not to kill? The attorney asked. Yes, he knows that. He knows not to sexually assault a child? Yes, Grandma said, totally shocked. I couldn't believe it myself, and it doesn't sound like him. But it is him, and he's going to be put to death, hopefully, for what he did. The forensic psychiatrist also testified today that they diagnosed Horner, the killer, with level 1 autism spectrum disorder, which is less severe form of autism, and generalized anxiety disorder, which is not anything to excuse any of what he did. The killer did not mention using cocaine the day of the murder. That's another excuse he pulled out of his butt, and the defense pulled out of his butt. Oh, he was using cocaine in front of Athena, and he killed her because he thought that she would tell and he'd lose his job. Oh, yeah, is that why he sexually assaulted her too? BS. And second of all, the defense established that the killer did not mention using cocaine on the day of the murder. The killer told another psychiatrist that he kidnapped Athena and killed her because she saw him snorting cocaine. No. Listen to me closely. I've told you this before, and it's because of all the different things I've read on this case over the past several weeks. This was premeditated. He was scoping out not only Athena's place, but he's also scoping out another home in the same area of rural Wise County where he was delivering to, where there were 2 little girls, I think twin girls. He covered up the camera on the outside and the front with a jacket, and he covered up the camera on the inside, but he covered up the camera on the outside in the days before. He was premeditated. He was trying to decide, like a sick predator, which little girl he would take and which would be the most convenient. And those little girls are all in rural Wise County. Athena, beautiful little Athena Strand, before she was killed, and the family is on 10 acres in rural Wise County. And that girl has a right to live her life and play in her massive, beautiful property with that family and be safe from a sick, sick guy like him. Put him in the ground, is what I say. Yesterday, I called out the Irving Police Department for falsely pulling an Amber Alert. I was pissed. I was totally sincere, and I was very passionate, as you know. And the reason why is because, and this is happening more regularly in the Metroplex, and it's so wrong. You know, the Amber Alert was developed here from little Amber Hagerman years ago, who went missing in Arlington from a sick jerk just like this guy, Tanner Horner. And the Amber Alert system, which, by the way, my old boss from my old station was literally responsible for making it happen, too, along with the sheriff and others. But the Amber Alert is precious. And it is not like the milk carton, where kids' pictures were always on the milk carton. Everybody ignored it, and the milk carton pictures went away because they were ever present. They were omnipresent. The Amber Alert will only work if it is strictly adhered to. It has not been strictly adhered to time and time again as of late. And yesterday, I called out the Irving Police Department, and today I'm proven right. Yesterday, they said, oh, we're pulling an Amber Alert. Why? Because there's a 15-year-old who was last seen at 4:15 on the 380 block of Las Colinas Boulevard in Irving. Police say he has been diagnosed with multiple disorders, which leads them to believe he's in immediate danger. Police have also told Channel 8 there aren't any current indication as to where he may have gone. He didn't fit any of the criteria. There are 5 criteria. You have to be under 17, which he is. Your whereabouts have to be unknown. Okay, they weren't. But your disappearance, law enforcement has to have determined that your disappearance is because you were unwillingly disappeared, quote unquote, unwilling. There was no evidence that he was unwillingly taken or disappeared, quote unquote. There was no evidence it wasn't anything but willing. No evidence. So number 1, they failed to meet that criteria. Never should have been pulled. Number 2, is the child in immediate danger of sexual assault, death, or serious bodily injury? They had no evidence of that. All they had was a description and say he had some disabilities. No evidence of that. Number 3, they have to have a verified abduction and eliminated alternative explanation for his disappearance. They did not do that. There was no evidence of abduction. He may have walked away on his own. There was no evidence. That's 4 out of 4 that 3 out of 3 that they falsely pulled on. The fourth criteria, all 4 of these got to be met. Sufficient information is it available to disseminate to the public to help locate the child, a suspect, or the vehicle used in the abduction. They had no vehicle description. They had no suspect. I might even give them a pass on this, disseminating information to the public to locate them, like an area. But literally, 3 out of 4 qualifications were not met. This never should have been pulled. This is an abuse of the Amber Alert system by the Irving Police Department. And when you abuse the Amber Alert system, less people pay attention because you're pulling the Amber Alert too much. And when less people pay attention, less children get saved and more children die because we are not paying attention. Stop pulling false Amber Alerts. Today I'm proven true because here we go. Oh, would you look at this? I'm right. Today it says from Channel 8, Amber Alert canceled for missing 15-year-old. Well, why? You know how right I am when the description is like 2 sentences. They crab walk away. Irving police say they've safely located a previously missing 15-year-old boy from whom an Amber Alert was issued. They say they began their search after last being seen. The boy was last seen Tuesday. That's all they got. There's no suspect, there's no vehicle, there's no abduction, there's no taken against his will. It was a lie. Years and years ago, when I was doing a talk show in Madison, Wisconsin, in like 2002, 2003, when Amber Alerts was started to be, used widely all over the country, I had a parent, and he agreed with me 9 times out of 10 politically, but I had a parent who had his head up his butt so far up he had no idea what he was talking about. And I said to him, if you lose your kid in the store, should we pull an Amber Alert? Yes, we should. I mean, people will say anything. But when you abuse the system, people die. Kids die. So Irving Police Department abused the system. Shame on them. Shame on them. And I mean that. Unless you don't mind more kids dying by diluting how the system's supposed to work. This is quite a little interesting one here. Grand jury declines to indict a Salina man who called cops after fatally shooting a driver in a road rage case. This is lesson number 500 million about why you don't mess with people on the roads because you don't know who they are. My son and I went to go pick up some of his optical stuff today, and then he needed me there because it was over at Costco, and I got the card. And he was doing a little rage, not physically, but he was doing a little rage on somebody driving a few times. I'm like, dude, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Well, here's why. This guy was in a road rage incident with another driver, Channel 8 says. He told dispatchers he pulled into a school's parking lot, and then another driver followed him in. When officers arrived, they found the victim, a 34-year-old, shot and killed from Plano, lying face down in the parking lot with multiple gunshot wounds. According to the police affidavit, the killer told police that the other guy had been tailgating him. So he brake-checked the guy tailgating him. Bad move. He then pulled into the Frisco High parking lot. The other guy approached his vehicle yelling, punched him in the face through the driver's side window. Now, in Texas, if you're in your car, it is considered your domicile, meaning it's your house. Well, guess what? If somebody reaches through my door or my window and punches me or is coming into my home, I can shoot them. And that's why this is a lawful shoot. But now he has to live with killing somebody because he was an idiot and engaged in road rage and then pulled over like an idiot. And did he pull over because he was carrying a weapon, knew he'd be okay? You don't want to kill somebody because this guy now spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. The weapon he had on his person was confiscated, and he had to go through a grand jury, not knowing if he would be convicted of murder. Trust me, he wouldn't have done it. Looking back, he told officers he shot the man at least twice with his pistol after this guy, reached into his car and punched him in the face. Witness statements and the call from 911 were consistent with his account. So he was no billed. He is out. He's free. Don't F with people on the roads. Don't do road rage. It's stupidity. Even if you're armed, it is stupidity. You do not want to go through it. So the decision on the Supreme Court that we talked about yesterday with redistricting, saying you cannot gerrymander a district based on race. That is unconstitutional. The only reason that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act exists is not to racially gerrymander districts. It is so that people of different races aren't discriminated against by poll taxes, by making it harder for them to vote because of their color of skin. That's what the Voting Rights Act, Section 2, is for. Now, all the crazy liberal leftists who have jiggered their districts in order to racially gerrymander, now it's unconstitutional. For example, my home state of Illinois, look at that. Remember that? That joke of a gerrymander? Now that is unconstitutional. Illinois is going to screw the pooch. I couldn't be happier with that. What else do I have? And so Illinois, by the way, is it required the Illinois amendment required the creation of racial coalition districts is now unconstitutional. The Illinois Senate has officially paused all movement on their amendment, days ahead of the May 3rd deadline to get it on the November ballot. Second of all, what else do I have here? We have a lot of fun. Do you remember? I made PragerU. I made PragerU, Dennis Prager, and who now was laid up and is very, he's paralyzed below the neck, I believe, which is so tragic and sad. But Dennis Prager and his sidekick, a woman I didn't know until today, they were talking about my story coverage, my coverage of Wiley East, Wiley High, and Wiley ISD last week, and here's what PragerU showed and how they covered it. I just walked out of the Wiley ISD school board where professional adult Islamic proselytizers were allowed in to pass out Qurans, hijabs, and understanding Sharia pamphlets and why Islam bags. They had a big banner in the school that said Islam. One of the assistant principals there, meaning they approved of it, they knew of it. What this means is this is your official curriculum. This is the Quran that the four adult Islamic professional proselytizers were passing out.
So it's not just other isms that are filling up these God-sized holes in kids' hearts. It's other isms, like Islamism included. Is it a huge surprise that when students were giving out hijabs in Texas, young women were grabbing them? They were looking for something. They were looking for a meaning in their heart. And if you take out the 10 Commandments from the schools and you don't allow Christian prayer in the schools, these kids are looking for something else. And right outside, right around the corner, they'll find Islamisms and hijabs and other ways for kids to feel like they belong to something, so that they feel like they have meaning in their life.
I saw data on the number of churches closing in the United States and the number of mosques being built in the UK and the US. You know, the most popular name in UK is Muhammad.
Muhammad is in the top 10 in New York City as well. You can blame people from the outside, but you can also look at what America did and what the schools have done. If you're not going to allow Christianity, Judeo-Christian values to be taught in the schools, then kids are going to go and search for something else. Part of it is on us.
Oh, totally. A group with the most fervent beliefs tend to be Muslims today. Kids are drawn to people who fervently believe in something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't even say Judeo-Christian anymore, as if Christianity came from nothing. You know, Jesus would say Judeo-Christian.
And there's Dennis Prager, of course. Thank you guys for covering my coverage of it. And then also it was on Libs of TikTok. I forgot about that. So I've made Libs of TikTok twice the past couple of months. We need to continue to make Wiley ISD famous because they have not held the principal at Wiley East accountable, Tiffany Doolin, and the assistant principal who, according to students, looked on as the Muslims were passing out Qurans and hijabs and understanding Sharia pamphlets to the kids. Glad that got covered. Megan Thee Stallion, who twerks and humps for a living and has vile lyrics, is partnering with in Dallas with Habitat for Humanity, to which I would call Humping for Humanity. Humping for Humanity is the new program from Habitat for Humanity is Humping for Humanity with Megan Thee Stallion. Absolutely. Humping for Habitat, I guess, or Humping for Humanity, whatever you want to call it. There you go. Great job endorsing Cackling Kamala. You lost. And Kamala spent millions of dollars on that, and she still lost, which is what a good Democrat does. This woman got thrown off a flight because she wouldn't get off her phone. The passengers were, railing against her. Where is that little video? I think I have it in here, in my repertoire of videos. Somewhere. I might not have that one. That's okay. The woman that was thrown off the flight, 38-year-old woman, Delta flight out of Miami, refused to hang up her phone. The whole plane was telling her to get off the phone, and she didn't, and then they arrested her and took her off the plane. Amen. Kim Jong-un says North Korean troops choose self-detonation to avoid capture by Ukraine. That's right, they blow themselves up. You know they blow up so young. He lauded his fallen troops in Kursk, Ukraine, heroes who, in order to safeguard great honor, chose without hesitation the path of self-detonation and self-death. Per state media, North Korean leader also paid tribute to soldiers who died while charging at the forefront of the assault battles. So those who, though their bodies were torn by bullets and shells, writhed more from the frustration of not being able to fulfill duty of soldiers, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, they blow up so young, don't they? And then one more thing, the Nazi with the Nazi tattoo is now running unchallenged. Janet Mills, the Democrat liberal governor from, I think it's New Hampshire, withdrew. She ran out of money. And so the guy with the Nazi tattoo who has said horrible things is now going to be the Democrat senator running, at least for the candidate for Maine. Here, I think it's Maine or New Hampshire. They all are the same to me up there. Anyways, here is Chris Van Hollen being mocked and laughed at in an interview trying to defend with Punchbowl News Graham Plattner, the Nazi guy.
The dude has not had a Nazi tattoo. I mean, let's be clear about what's going on here. I mean, how do you view that? I mean, it seems to be at least somewhat disqualifying in traditional.
Certainly historically.
So look, I mean, let's take a couple issues, including the comments he's made in the past. I mean, he's been very clear that he went into combat on behalf of the United States.
Look, he's a nice Nazi. He's a good Nazi. He's not a bad Nazi like Trump. He's a nice Nazi.
Through a really rough period, PTSD type period. And he has himself said there are lots of things he's done and said that he completely regrets.
Yep.
And I do believe people should have second chances and that people can learn from their mistakes. And I think he's been doing that.
Yeah, as long as his name isn't Trump Nazi, he's a good Nazi. No big deal, right? There you go. This show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy Martin's my CPA for almost 10 years now. He's incredible, and if you have IRS problems or want a good tax planner, he is your guy.